Alright, Bearna has come out. Our months of training to become stronger, our hard work, our video updates on my journey of getting stronger from returning player to trying to become a Mabinogi pro. It kinda has paid off because we're here for a major content update in terms of Bearna. Now, in our journey for power, we're still very far away from where we want to be, but I think we're ready to take on this challenge. So I want you guys to come with me to see my thoughts, how my first run with Bearna went, and should you tackle it, and kind of what some of the issues are with it. Alright, first things first, let's talk about getting to Bearna. It's honestly pretty easy to get to this content, and it doesn't require you to complete a generation, so that was really nice. Now, to even do the dungeon, there are some pre-requirements that you have to meet to even do that, but one of the biggest things is that your level has to be level 20,000 or higher, and your Arcana has to be total level 50 or higher. I'm going to pop up the full details on the screen, but that's the basic requirements. Now, the quest line is not hard to do. It does require crafting, and holy crap do I hate crafting. I hate it. Hate it with a passion. I don't like it. That said, I failed the crafting portion 8 times, and not gathering the materials myself, it cost me roughly 2 million to do because I'm lazy. Now, day after release, I tried to find a party. Now, mind you, it was at a very weird time and very off hour for peak Mabinogi, so I wasn't able to find one. However, that leads into a greater and better opportunity. Enter the guy named CodeVoo. So while I was editing this, I just took a break now to go, bundle up because it's kind of cold in here, and also get an energy drink because I didn't get much sleep. I'm trying to power through this edit. And I went to go get the energy drink, and I'm half asleep, and I opened my cupboard with all my spices instead of the fridge. Anyways, moving on. So it's 1 a.m. my time, and we're out here looking for a group of misfits who could help us run this content. CodeVoo's run this content before on the test server. I haven't run it yet, and things aren't looking good. From what I understood, there was a lot of people there talking, but I don't think he's actually cleared the content at this point. So that was interesting, and a lot of people aren't too sure about the mechanics. Anyways, we end up finding a team, and then we start. So as soon as you load in, step 1, divide up into 2 teams, night and day. This dungeon runs parallel to the other team, so everyone's on one path, but you cannot see everyone. Now, if you're watching this video as a tutorial, don't. Please don't. I ran this 3 times and I don't think I fully understand the concepts and the mechanics. My goal was to stay alive and to kill shit. So, if you want a tutorial, go someplace else. I don't want you to blame me for messing up your run, okay? Now, with the power of editing, I'm able to cut out 2 minutes of us trying to figure out how to divide up the teams. Once everyone's standing on their respective teams, you go into the first phase of fighting this monster, and I'm not entirely sure why we're fighting this monster. but during this first phase, your goal is to get it down to 95% HP. Now, I think a little glitch is some people weren't able to attack the monster after it hit 95%, but if you have final hit activated, you can still keep swinging. Now, this doesn't do extra damage, so it's no big deal, but I figured I'd mention it. Now, the next phase, you have to kill a deer right away. Again, I'm not sure why we're killing this deer, but you have to kill it, okay? And another thing I want to mention is on the ground, you're gonna see a moon. You are linked with somebody else on the other team, and you share a total life. Once your total life drops to 0, neither you or your teammate can be revived once you die. Now, phase 2 is comprised of 3 parts, give or take a part. There was a lot going on, but your main goal here is to kill and stay alive. Now, at the bottom of the screen, each team has to kill a set amount of monsters for you to be able to move on to the next round. Think of it as like a mob wave incoming, and you gotta stay alive, okay? You need to try and save all your HP for the boss. Now, this part honestly wasn't too hard, especially if you got a good harmonic saint just dedicated to healing and keeping you guys alive. It makes it a lot easier. Now, my biggest issue with this phase is sometimes your pets will despawn and the amount of mobs. They are a little tanky, a little spongy, but that's to be expected. You need to do good damage. I'm not quite there yet, but honestly, I personally didn't struggle, and I'm only level 26,000. My max damage per hit without buffs, we did have a lot of buffs going into this, but without buffs, it was roughly around 1400. Now, part 3 of phase 2. This is the part where it starts to get a little tricky, because this is where day and night really show in sense of progression and survivability. Now, I'm not 100% clear on this part because I mostly played daytime whenever I did these runs, but from what my understanding is, nighttime, a campfire will spawn, essentially. They have to go and light it, and then daytime has to go stand next to that campfire and burn their wood. From what I noticed, the campfire isn't perpetually there. Like it, nighttime will light the campfire, and it's gonna be there for roughly 30 seconds. So you kind of gotta move fast to completely burn the firewood, because if not, then it's gonna despawn, and then you still get 80% that you need to burn. Monsters are still spawning, monsters are still attacking you. It can be a lot. I think this is honestly the hardest part of this content, but again, if you have good healers, it shouldn't be an issue. Now, to wrap up phase 2, a giant wall is going to spawn, and you essentially just have to stand in a circle to weaken the wall's defenses, and then go and attack the wall while mobs are still spawning and coming at you. Now, between each of these sections, you do get some breathing space. Not a lot, mind you, but you do get some, so that's good. And honestly, this part isn't too hard. It all depends on the other team, really. The more one team struggles and takes longer to do something, the more you're gonna have to struggle and fight it out as well. So that's why team balancing really comes into play here, and I actually like it. For once, Mabinogi content isn't based around cheap gimmicks or just absolute bullshit moves that will wipe you out without any warning. And it's starting to feel like they're looking at other MMOs such as Final Fantasy XIV and taking pages out of their playbook when it comes to raids and boss fights, and I really enjoy that. Now, the final phase, phase 3. It's your good old showdown, your good old boss fight, your good old cowboy rodeo. So for this part, it's just one giant arena divided into 2. Each team has their own boss to fight, but they have a shared HP, so it helps to fight. However, with the golems, Team Daytime has the golems, okay? Be prepared. And they are absolutely deadly, so there is currently a cheese mechanic in place that seems to be working pretty well as of this video. I don't know what the overall consensus is with the community, but if you head over to this little corner that you're seeing on screen, just stand there. The golem can't hit you as much, which means less dying, which means once the second part hits, where you are all fighting one boss, everyone's alive. So once you get the boss's HP down to roughly 10%, something weird is gonna happen. You're gonna see the skies changing color, day, night, day, night, day, night. It's very cool. Very aesthetically pleasing, despite all the chaos going on. And if you're hiding behind a rock, you really get to see it happening, so it's kind of nice. From here, 2 teams come together to fight the last boss. And me being a little eager, seeing 10%, it made me immediately want to rush in. So I did take quite a bit of damage, but God bless the Harmonic Saints that we had on our team. They absolutely carried this shit. Now, the last few seconds we were absolutely getting barraged, but some guy with a Solona blade absolutely crushed it for us, and we won. Now, all this footage was from my first time clearing it. The other 2 times went pretty well. I ended up playing daytime twice in my 3 runs, and then nighttime once. Daytime does seem to be the easier pick, so remember that if you aren't particularly good at the game. Now, in terms of Mabinogi content, I think this has to be my favorite to date. Now, number 1 reason, like I mentioned earlier in the video, nothing in this raid or boss fight or dungeon, whatever you want to call it, necessarily feels cheap. It doesn't feel like the monsters are whipping out a move that you necessarily can't predict, or that's just made to absolutely fuck you up just because. At the end of the day, this content really comes down to each team pulling their weight and having good healers, good damage. It just feels really good when you have a good team, and I think this is the format they should go with moving forward because it's just really good content. It's fun to do, it doesn't feel cheap, and it made me happy when I finally beat it. I didn't feel like, ugh, I'm done with Mabinogi. I did this for what? In terms of loot and drops, it seems to be pretty okay. I did 3 runs, and out of the 3 runs, some of my teammates get a manual for crafting stuff. Nothing crazy. Mind you, we're only playing on normal, so that's that. So I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching. I guess expect a hard mode to come eventually because that's what I'm trying to gear up towards. In terms of videos that you might see up regarding Mabinogi, I'm making another pay to win video that's coming out really soon. That's just taking really long to edit just because I'm kind of procrastinating it. But anyways, if you watched it this far, thank you. Your support means the world to me, and I hope you enjoy these kind of laid back styles and the take of content from somebody who isn't a hardcore player in terms of like grinding or being a pro. So I appreciate you, and I'll see you guys next time.
Well, here I am, I'm just a paladin who's rowing on a boat. You might not understand this reference, it's a really obscure joke. I trained for generations, spreading light in the name of public good. I stand for justice, just like a pally should. Goddamn, we're beautiful.